Welcome back to Damien G Reviews. I am the aforementioned Damien G, as well as on behalf of Big Gold Belt Media, I had the privilege of reviewing It's in the Game, Madden NFL, the 4-part docuseries scheduled to be released on Prime Video on November 26th. And basically, it takes the phenomenon known as Madden and breaks it down all the way back down to its humble beginnings, from a low-level studio way back in the 16-bit era and before of EA Sports. It's in the game. Small-time developer to becoming the force behind the NFL franchise known as Madden, and how the phenomenon of Madden has kind of taken over the public lexicon and the public eye. The series, so I'll start with this. This was an interesting documentary strictly because I didn't know some of these things growing up during the 16-bit era where Madden first came out. I knew about the early beginnings of EA Sports, and we tackle this, pun unintended, in the first couple of episodes, and maybe episodes 1 and 2, where they plant the seeds of EA Sports and how they wanted to get this football game across to have a bit of realism. And I'm not talking about the football that we see now on PS5 and all the other next-gen systems or current-gen systems. I'm talking about going all the way back to computer DOS with X's and O's, right? The X's and O's of gaming greatness way back when you rushed to get to that floppy disk to put it in the computer to play the XO of Madden, which I remember growing up where you just had dots on a screen. So now Madden has become this textured, stylized, almost verbatim simulation of football that we see in the video game landscape. So the series itself, it explores Madden's NFL evolution. As I said, it starts from a basic computer game of X's and O's, becomes this 16-bit powerhouse, right? But the thing I really enjoyed in the first couple of episodes was the business practices of it all, was how EA Sports came to not only make the game, but to improve upon the game from its humble, and I do mean humble, when you see the footage of this first one, holy crap, this first Madden game, it's horrendous. I'll say that. It's no Oregon Trail. I'll put it that way. But to see not only how EA Sports had blossomed from its beginnings, but the fact that a lot of people that got involved with this project were just so happy in the early stages to be a part of the Madden franchise, right? You had people who are testers, who volunteered to be testers, game developers who didn't really understand, or programmers who didn't understand football, but they understood what fun was. And that's chronicled in these first 2 episodes of the series. And I didn't think I'd like it. I'm going to be honest. I didn't think I'd like it. And I remember my first Madden game being Madden 92. And I remember being excited just by seeing numbers at the bottom of the player, even though the team names weren't really mentioned. It was just New York, New Jersey, Los Angeles, San Francisco. But it had the team colors. And it was kind of fun to see that as a kid and think that's the greatest thing now. And then we have what Madden has turned into with the Madden Bowl. And now that John has since passed, it's also a good way, this film or this documentary, to go back and see how involved John was in the early stages, where he wasn't only just the cover star of the game, his brain was picked completely, right? So John Madden wasn't just the face like Joe Montana football, timeless sort of baseball back in the day, where they were just the sponsored athlete for the marketing purposes. John Madden put his whole mind and heart into this, playing a critical role in shaping this game. Now, we know John Madden, a lot of us know John Madden as the announcer and the tough acting Tinactin commercials. But John Madden was a successful football coach, a Super Bowl winning football coach, and he was going to take this seriously. He was going to say, okay, if we're going up against our rivals such as Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, and we want to get this license to something else other than to computers, we're going to have to do something dynamic. So for John, or for Mr. Madden, the series, it highlighted for me and for hopefully for the audience how he worked with the developers, shaping the football experience by using his expertise and designing actual plays and pushing authenticity in every detail, from the huts to the hikes to the pass plays to everything that's called from the game. And then as we go along, including his commentary. But another thing that's brought up in this documentary is that John was competitive as hell. And if something didn't shoot right with him, it didn't sit right with him, he was going to let you know it. And if you put out a product that he thought was garbage, he had big reservations about the next series. And that's another funny part you find out during the series, is that you didn't think there was going to be a yearly thing. When this was first conceived, it was just supposed to be John Madden football. That's it. Without updated rosters, without any kind of bells and whistles, just teams, like unlicensed teams. And then it just turns into this NFL dream sequence, is the best way I can call that, because Madden took this seriously. He was involved. It wasn't, as I said, it wasn't that he just got a check and he just mailed it in. Like some of the other competitors back in, let's say, the 90s, we had Play Action Football, Tecmo Bowl, as I said, Joe Montana Sports Talk Football, which growing up I actually enjoyed too, but nobody knew Madden was going to take over the way it did. I am 99% sure that no one knew it was going to take off the way it did. So Madden's influence in those early years for me were the foundation of the franchise's success, and we watch this elevation. We see how it goes from point A to point B to point C, to the point where EA kind of rested on their laurels after a while. Because after 1996, and we're going to go back to other things, but something else that came to mind, as someone who worked in the gaming industry like I did many a year ago, the competitors such as NFL Game Day, NFL 2K, which for me was always one of the most superior football games I've ever played. But it's the fact that this shows EA Sports at its marketing and its shrewd business dealings. They show you, and I'm not going to spoil how they did it. They show you how they got from DOS onto the Sega Genesis, Mega Drive, if you don't know what that is. And it's basically the first Sega system that rose to popularity here in North America. The way they went about it, kind of shady, kind of sneaky, but all in all, brilliant. And then as we go on in this series, we see how they're able to stave off their competitors, as I said, Joe Montana Football, NFL Game Day, NFL 2K. And that goes back to what I was saying about EA Sports and their marketing department and just the way they constructed business. And we're taking on a whole history, as I said, inception to where it currently stands. And this isn't a puff piece either. There are some hard conversations to be had for the legacy of Madden before John's passing and during his active participation in the game, where, as I said before, there were some years, and some people feel even to now, EA is resting on its laurels because they were known as the sports gaming company when I was a kid. We had Bulls versus Lakers, Bulls versus Blazers, Madden, the NHL hockey series, then that transitioned into other things, but we didn't have what we have now where it's strictly about Madden, right? There's no more NBA Live, right? There's no more EA Sports. There's still NHL hockey, but it's not as popular as it used to be because Madden now is the number one. If you think EA Sports, you think Madden. There is no conjunction that differs the two anymore. So that's interesting to see how EA Sports kind of grows and explodes by doing what seem would be shady business practices, as I said before. So EA, I'll say it like this. EA had stiff competition from 2K, from Game Day, and the negotiations, the innovations that kept the franchise alive, man, they should be lucky. Some of their licensing agreements, some of the agreements they had with game developers as well as console developers, they're lucky. And they're lucky the Madden series got good in the 90s as it improved from the 16-bit era to the 32-bit era onto the current era, which, as I said, has become this thing in and of itself where all you got to do is say Madden. Everybody knows what it is. People used to line up at 12 midnight, 11 p.m. to get that drop, to get that first drop. You have NFL players being interviewed throughout the series saying, hey, my ratings aren't cool. I need higher ratings. My speed should be a 99. They talk about the Madden curse, the cover athletes, when it segued from John to cover athletes in a way to battle 2K Sports, because they had cover athletes too. And nobody wanted to see John Madden on the cover. Apparently, they wanted to get the new hotness, like I like to say. So the legacy of Madden is covered here as well, where sometimes just because you're the number one game in town doesn't mean you're the best game. You know, the series itself, this series doesn't really gloss over the franchise's struggles, as I was saying, particularly post 2006 when Mr. Madden passed. There was a transition of how the game was supposed to be, or how the game grew, and how it changed, and how it might even differ from what John had in mind. And I think that's something that really stuck with me when I was watching this, was that I would like to see going forward how this keeps Madden's legacy alive. Because remember, this is a former Super Bowl winning head coach who had his hands completely on this series. And this series chronicles, these 4 episodes chronicles how it left John a little bit and it went more toward fan input. And that could be a little dicey. And you're going to see that here. You know, it's going to be a little dicey when they talk about influencers in the later episodes and how that helps shape the game of Madden, how they want to top themselves, how personal they take some of their losses in previous years when Madden didn't do too well. They even talk about a couple years where Madden didn't even get a game out because developers just couldn't fix the bugs. And it led to a really bad bottom line to where they thought we were going to have an ET moment, if you know what that means, the ET video game that was going to plummet the video game market. This might have plummeted the sports game market, and that's covered as well. And you get a lot of information for your buck while watching this. And I'm not trying to belabor it, but in some parts, I'll say it could have been maybe about 3 episodes instead of 4. I think we could have covered all those bases. And there were some dead parts when people were talking about just the business aspect of it. And I know I said earlier that it was important to see that, but sometimes if you don't want to get locked down in the minutia, it's going to leave you behind. So all in all, I enjoyed this 4-part series as a video game loving kid to a video game appreciating adult, but who understands now the marketing and the advertising that goes into making these games that isn't just about the game, hence the title, it's in the game. So my final thoughts with this are, the interviews are a mix of gaming and business history, which is great. I like that. Madden delivers, how do I say this? It's a thoughtful look on the franchise's journey. While it could have been trimmed by an episode, like I said before, it's a solid 7.5 out of 10 and well worth the watch for Madden fans and sport fans alike who also like sports documentaries. If you want this to be a straight sports documentary, this is not the place for you. But if this is something you will be interested in from a business aspect, and you're a gamer and you like Madden and you want to know the history of Madden, this is for you. Again, I give this 7.5 out of 10. It's in the game. Madden NFL, scheduled to drop on November 26th on Prime Video. And I hope you all enjoyed it, because I did, even though I have a small gripe here and there with the length of the series. 7.5 out of 10. Let me know down below in the comments if you liked it, if you agree with me, if you think I'm cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Once again, I've been Damien G for Damien G Reviews, also on behalf of Big Gold Belt Media, and I will catch you on the next episode.